Hello everyone, my name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about Catch-22, written by Joseph Heller. Now, before I go into summary analysis of this work, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or a comment so that the channel can continue to grow. Now, Catch-22 is a very interesting book. It's a 400 plus page book, and there's a lot that goes in here. Now, personally, I don't like reading war novels because, from my own perspective, war novels they kind of become each other after a while. War novels, more or less, it's kind of like men are sent to war, men die, one side win, one side loses. A lot of people get killed, a lot of people get slaughtered, a lot of women get abused, a lot of things happen to innocent people. War is always a messy thing, and whatever war novel you pick up, there are always differences. There are always different messages that are woven in between the lines. But at the end of the day, war novels are just gruesome. And there's never really anyone winning. I mean, wars have to happen because of human nature. They're always going to happen. There's always going to be conflicts somewhere in the world. There's always going to be a war that's being fought somewhere in the world. Uh, there's never really one way out of it. And there's never a way we can get rid of it. And Catch-22, it's a war novel. There's a lot of killing. There's a lot of death. There's lust. There's the men after going bombing different places in World War II, different enemy camps in World War II. They go through different cities. They go through to Rome. They go to different places in Europe. They meet women. They try to survive. So this war novel, Catch-22, it's similar to a lot of other war novels in terms of gore and fighting and bombs and planes and all that kind of stuff. But there are some key differences. There are some things that make it very interesting and very different from the rest. Now, the reason why those things are pretty much the things that make it different is we see a character by the name of Usarian, and we see a lot of different characters within Catch-22. Now, it's not to say that other war novels don't have different characters. It's just Catch-22 doesn't focus on the war and gore and killing. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a lot of killing, a lot of people dying, in this novel and in this book. But the thing is, like, Catch-22 is not about American soldiers proudly going to battle to fight for their country. Yes, they say that they're going to fight for their country, but in the novel, in Catch-22, these airplane pilots, these bombers, they just want to survive. Usarian, from the get-go of the novel, he just wants to survive. I mean, he does so many things throughout the novel, and Usarian is pretty much the character that we follow throughout Catch-22. He gets into a lot of trouble. He kind of revolts against his orders so that he didn't have to go in his plane and go drop bombs because he doesn't want to die. Usarian doesn't want to die, and a lot of the pilots don't want to die. And the thing is, like, the generals, the colonels, the leaders, these men of hierarchy within the novel, they're not really focused on saving the country either. I mean, they're going to save the country. They are fighting for America in World War II. But the thing is, like, when you read this novel, you get a sense that you get a sense that everybody's in it for themselves, and they are in it for themselves. Usarian is just trying to keep alive. There's a character by the name of Milo. He's just trying to make money left and right. He's just looking for profit left and right. It doesn't matter if it's legal or not. Milo is just trying to make his money. The generals, the colonels, the hierarchy within the army, you just see men trying to do whatever they can to climb the ranks of power, the ranks of prestige, people being promoted for no reason, people going left and right for no reason, people dying for no reason. And there's Catch-22s everywhere. This novel is filled with Catch-22. And before I go into that anymore, I'll just explain what a Catch-22 is. When you read this novel, when you go through, there's a lot of Catch-22s. Okay, the one that's very, yeah, that's pretty much everywhere in this novel. The one that's very I guess you can say special or prominent within this novel, is the fact that Usarian and other pilots, they have to fly out and pretty much drop bombs on different cities, on different camps, and all that, right? And there's a specific number that they can reach, and the things like the number keeps changing. It's kind of like if you reach 55 missions, you can go home. You can go back to the States. Pretty much that was what's going on. And the things like the number keeps changing, 55, 60, 75. I mean, it keeps going left and right. It keeps on changing. It comes to a point where you don't even focus on the number of the flights anymore, because every time the pilots complete the flights and they don't die, they raise the number, so they have to go, they have to keep flying. They have to keep going on missions. And it's not easy because every time they go on a mission, they can die. And so a lot of them don't want to die, especially the ones that have been going on missions, over 60 missions, over 70 missions. And pretty much they're not going home, they're not dying, and so every day they're risking their lives, and they want to fight for their country. They went to war wanting to fight for their country, but at a certain point, people like Usarian within the novel, they just want to save their own lives. And the thing is, like, one thing that I give Catch-22 that's not like other war novels, you're not in the battlefield, you're not in the trenches, you're not, seeing the blood and gore. It's really not focused on that. It's just focused on these men that are trying to survive no matter what they have to do. They're just trying to survive, they're just trying to exist. The colonels, the generals, I mean, they're cutting deals left and right. They're doing things to just... They're just in it for themselves. They go after a chaplain within the novel. There's so many things that go on within Catch-22. You have the whole Washington Irving scandal, or Irving Washington scandal. You have so many things that are going on. And the thing is, like, when I was reading this novel, when I was going through it, it made me mad. This is the first time I'm reading a book and I got mad, because things are out of order, stories are out of order, and this book, this war novel, is not in linear order, and I really don't like when books are not in linear order, because you have to piece the story together for yourself. It got me very frustrated with the book, because I'm trying to get what's happening. I'm trying to get what's happening to these characters, what their lives are like within their own stories. And the stories are like going backwards or left to right, and you're like, what is going on? And the thing is, like, the book makes you feel like you are a soldier at war. You are a soldier at war, because a lot of soldiers, when they go to war, they are confused. They don't know what to do. They know they're fighting for their country, but in the middle of blood and gore and gunshots and killing and trying to survive and thinking of your loved ones at home, thinking of your wife, your kids, your children, and everybody's thinking, every single person on the battlefield, every single man, it's either they have a mother and father thinking about, a son or daughter, a sweetheart, somebody that they're thinking about, a wife and kids that they left behind. And the military is telling them, yeah, if you die, we're going to take care of them. There's going to be a pension for them. There's going to be, some type of financial benefit that your family can live on, your sweetheart can live on. I mean, that's nice that their families will be taken care of, but these men, they know that they can die at any time, and anything could happen to them. And they get all these messed up policies and messed up rules within Catch-22. And, the Catch-22, the one that really irks a lot of people, the one that really gets on a lot of people's nerves within the novel, is the fact that there's a catch-22 that says, if you've flown a lot of missions, so you've gone on a lot of missions as a pilot, you are crazy if you don't ask to be released to go home, right? You are crazy if you've flown like 60, 70 something missions and you never ask to go home or to stop flying them, because that's insane, right? But the thing is, like, in order to go home, like, the people who are in charge, the generals, the colonels, whatever, they're in charge, you have to ask them to send you home. And once you ask them to send you home, they can't send you home, because that shows that you are sane. You're not crazy. because, if you're flying airplanes, you're bombing places. If you're flying a lot of missions, you're crazy if you don't ask. But when you ask, it makes you crazy. It makes you not crazy, excuse me. It makes you not crazy because you're sane enough to know that you shouldn't be flying bombing missions anymore. So a catch-22, to just cut it short, is that there's no escape. You can't escape a catch-22. It's kind of another example that I can give that would be a great example is that if you're homeless and you want a job, right? You want to get an apartment. You want to get a home, right? Well, then if you're homeless, you have to get a job. But the thing is, like, to get a job, you need to have an address. And a lot of applications, or pretty much all applications, you need a home address to apply. But if you don't have a home address, how can you apply to get a job so that you can get a home? That's a catch-22. You're kind of stuck. It contradicts itself. There's no escape of it. And it makes you crazy. It makes you, and things like the characters within the novel, they're, confused, they're frustrated, because the thing is, like, it would be better if they would just tell them, you're here to fight for your country, go out in the field, go bomb places, go fight, go shoot, go kill the enemy, and until the war is over, you're going to be here. It would have been better if they just told them that. But the thing is, like, they didn't tell them that. They told them that you're going to fly 50 missions, then you can go home. So the soldiers, the pilots, they're happy because, when they reach like 45 missions, they're about to reach 50. They're thinking they're going to go home to their sweetheart, to their loved ones. They tell them, well, no, you have to keep flying because, well, that's catch-22. So there's no explanation. I mean, they arrest people, they charge people with charges within the military. There's no trial or anything. I mean, the chaplain within the novel, he gets charged. He wasn't responsible for everything. There was a funny little scene about, like, his hand signature, his handwriting and his signature, or Washington Irving. I mean, this novel, it's a great novel. It makes you feel like a soldier because you're so confused at times. It gets on your nerves. You're like, what's going on? And I mean, at the end of the day, you kind of feel like, man, this is what soldiers feel like, because at a certain point, they probably go into war knowing what's happening, knowing what they're doing. But at certain points, when people are dying left and right, people are getting wounded, blood is everywhere, gunshots are everywhere, people are getting bombed everywhere, cities are being destroyed. I mean, the soldiers, they're not just fighting. Again, they're going to different cities and different countries. They go to Rome, they go to Sweden, they go to different places, and they're sleeping with prostitutes. That's another thing within this, within the Catch-22, is that the soldiers, when they're not flying missions, sometimes they get passes to go into cities. And Usarian is an interesting character because he sleeps with a nurse, he sleeps with different prostitutes within the book, within the novel, in different cities. He's trying to survive, he's trying to have fun, he's trying to drink, he's trying to eat, he's trying to make it back home. I mean, there was some part of him that was fighting for his country, but at a certain point, nobody was fighting for their country within the novel. The novel is a great novel, but it's a mess, and it's messy, just like war is. And pretty much everybody's dying left and right. A lot of, pretty much all of Usarian's friends die, and he just wants to survive no matter what. By the end of the novel, they try to cut a deal with Usarian so that he can go home a hero, because he stood up. He said, like, no, enough is enough. You told me I could go home, but now you're telling me I can't go home. He stands up for himself. They try to cut him a deal. He doesn't take it because he feels like it's just not honorable. It's just not... Because they're trying to, and within the novel, they're trying to send home as a hero, because a lot of the other pilots were looking to Usarian as a hero, as somebody they should follow. I mean, he was a captain, and he got awards and all, military awards. And a lot of the other pilots looked to him for leadership. And when he said enough is enough, you told us we can fly this much missions, then we can go home, and now you're telling us something different. He tries to fight his superiors on that point. They try to send him home. He doesn't want to do that because he would be leaving his men to die, but they have to die because, I mean, they're still fighting for their country. It's World War II. If America doesn't win, America loses, and it's not fun losing to your enemies, and they're not going to give you freedom. I mean, the men, they have to fight for their home, but they don't want to die, but they have to. Usarian wants to live. He wants to fight for his country, but he wants to live, and he's pretty much, you're at war. You're at a high chance for dying, and it's all over the place, and there's a lot going on. But the thing is, like, the other thing is that this book is also funny because, I mean, there's a prostitute that tries to kill Usarian a bunch of times. I don't know how that keeps escaping cities, because this prostitute, I mean, she tried to kill Usarian because her lover died, and she blamed Usarian for killing her lover. So she tried to chase him around cities, around camps with a long bread knife. Yeah, so a lot goes on. I mean, this is a very interesting read. There are some parts that just really get to you, and there are some parts that are just boring. There are some phrases and words that are used in it that we just simply don't use anymore. They're still words, but we just don't use them in everyday speech or just talking. So there's a lot that goes on, and there's a lot that is explained to you about war, and a lot of the idiosyncrasy of war. They're all like, I mean, Joseph Heller, he pretty much took 10 years to write this. I mean, he started in 1953 and he ended it was published in 1961. So this book took a long time to write. There's a lot that goes in about war, about the futility of war, about what war really is, about life, about despair. I mean, there's some scenes of war that are depicted in cities where women are getting killed, and a lot of these prostitutes, they're not educated, they don't know how to read, they live on prostitution, on men sleeping with them. That's how they make money, that's how they survive, that's how they live, and some of them get killed for no reason, some of them get raped. I mean, that's war. War is ugly, it's nasty, people die and get killed, and no one ever really wins. By the end of the novel, Usarian escapes. I mean, he doesn't take that deal from his superiors for kind of rebelling against their orders of keep flying pretty much until you die. He goes to Sweden. He escapes to Sweden. He tries to make it to Sweden. We're just told like he's gonna go to Sweden and pretty much they're gonna go after him because you can't desert. You can't go AWOL in the army in World War II or at any other time. So Usarian tries to survive his own way and not fly any more missions and not die. But the thing is, like, Usarian is fighting not to die within World War II. But the thing is, like, he's gonna die eventually. And the book kind of like talks about that too, how he's escaped death, but trying to escape death. But there's never escaping death. No matter how much you want to live, no matter how much you fight against death, you can't escape it. I mean, that's the thing that humankind will pretty much never solve. I mean, we're gonna try. I mean, we will download our brains into computers. We will do everything. We will use anti-aging creams. We will take pills. We will do operations. We will use technology, but death is just death. Even if we do figure out a way to push a human brain into a machine, the universe, I mean, to scientists has an expiration date. It's either the big crunch or the big freeze. So the universe is going to end one day. So there's nothing that you can do. Death is imminent. It's going to happen. You can't escape it no matter what you do. You can try to make your life as long as possible by exercising, living long, using technology, but the universe has its end. Life has its end. Nothing exists forever. And that's Catch-22. In terms of analysis, in terms of a deeper meaning in here, I mean, there's just... Catch-22 is just... This book is just... I mean, it's a book that really tells you what war is. A lot of other books, they tell you about the gore and the killing and the fighting and the PTSD and all that kind of stuff. But this book, it's really, it gets under your skin, because if you're trying to read the whole thing, it really makes you mad, confused. Whenever the Catch-22s come up, because whenever the Catch-22 scenarios come up within the novel, it throws you to the wall. You don't know what's going on. Sometimes you don't even get the Catch-22s because there's just no way out of them, and you're trying to figure out a way out, and you just can't get out. There's nothing you can do. It's like you're free, like you're free only if you follow everything I say. Like, that makes no sense. I mean, Catch-22s are they're just contradictory. You can't escape them. You can't do anything about them. And that's war, because you have to fight for your country. If you don't fight for your country and your enemies win, then you lose your freedom. You lose all the things that you wanted to live for. And, I mean, there's no winners. I mean, it's despair. It's war. Yeah, there's just no one's winning. I mean, that is my perspective on Catch-22. It can, Catch-22, another point on analysis on what this book is, sometimes it gets so ridiculous, the catches get so ridiculous, and the scenarios get so ridiculous, and the circumstances get so ridiculous, you just laugh at them because there's just nothing to do. I mean, sometimes you have so much problems and you're going through something that are just so difficult and so ridiculous that there's nothing left to do just to laugh at yourself and the problem and the Catch-22 in front of you. And at certain points, that's what this book leaves you with. So that is my summary analysis of Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment. And I'll see you guys in the next video.